AIT, sharing the African experience.
We are talking about the violation of rights of consumers by providers of telephony in Nigeria. The issues to address have been outlined, and as usual, I have competent personalities to discuss them. With me today is the Executive Director of Save the Consumer Initiative. It's an NGO. So Aliyu Ilias is Executive Director of Save the Consumer Initiative. What has been your own experience, especially as it relates to the telcos?
Thank you, and thank you for inviting us. The first challenge is that there is no value for money. More so, the right of consumers has been breached to an extent that we do not know who and where to really complain to. Simply because this thing has been occurring over time and no solution to that. Billings, you know, when most consumers, what we do is we actually know the amount we expended, but the value for it cannot be measured. So most time our challenge is that when I subscribe for the only thing you can measure among the telcos is only the SMS, because once you send it, you see 4 naira. You are sure that this is 4 naira. Apart from that, all that services, you can't even measure it. The data, you know, the calls, you can't measure them, and we need transparency in this area. So I think Nigeria is paying a lot for this, and I think the regulatory body, NCC in particular, are servicing the telcos more than the consumers. And the major reason of them being there is to make sure that customers get value for money. And perhaps these days you go to all these telecom companies, you pay for what you are not even informed about. Simple thing that is just happening these days is that for you to upgrade from 3G to 4G, you need to pay, and you pay to the tune of 2,150 naira. We ask these telecos, is this for data? Is this for call card? Or what for? Just for you to upgrade. Then what are they there for?
Without having to go down the line in terms of all the egregious problems that we run into in the telecom industry right now, I'd like to know, what does your organization do? Save the Consumer Initiative. Okay.
Thank you so much. The main objective of Save the Consumers is to educate and protect the consumers. Inform the consumers of what is on and how they can really defend themselves against this. We educate them. For instance, a lot of issues are happening in telecos that has to do with compensations, and these are what we are looking at. Most time in telecos, the regulatory body finds these telecos. We are saying no, do not find them. Let them use that to compensate the customers. You are finding them 500 million naira at the expense of the consumers. No, the consumers should have this. So what we are just telling them over time is that don't find this organization. Tell them to compensate consumers. For instance, we have issues of with is it Intel? No service for 4 days. No SMS for apologies. No emails. Nothing. Do you know what people have gone through? Do you know what they lose? So these are what we are saying, that please, there should be compensation for people. Ideally, there will be service break. Yes, acknowledge there is service break. 2, acknowledge it and compensate people duly. We are not saying you are perfect. Yes, we understand you complain about infrastructure, lack of security, and what have you. Yes, but after any service break, compensate Nigerians for it.
Sometimes if you're not prosecuting a case, if you're not trying a case to the end, you plea bargain, where some factors come into play, and then you determine what the penalty should be based on the consideration of those different factors. So I would not, but to speak to what happened with Volkswagen in Germany, again, it's really how we can get the regulators in Nigeria to build our capacity to a point where we have this investigative capacity and to understand the full scope of our legislation and our laws. All over the world, regulators are always aching to interpret or construe their powers broadly.
Correct.
It's only the judicial process that narrows it down. And so one challenge that I have experienced in the period that I've been in a regulatory position is that sometimes greater knowledge and more sophistication exists in the industry than in the regulator, and that's a fundamental problem, because the regulator must be as knowledgeable, if not even more knowledgeable than the issue.
But one thing we should look at is I've attended, and we have attended several consumer forums organized by NCC. This problem keep occurring. Nigerians keep saying this, the same complaint every over 3 years, the same thing. So what is happening that they cannot address the particular issues and let's move on to the other one? So the same thing you address in Abuja, the same thing you address in the northeast, the same thing you address in the southwest. So what is the lasting solution? I think there should be a lasting solution.
There is a current problem in the industry where many subscribers receive overseas calls, and these calls, which I refer to as masking, do not reflect the numbers of those who are calling from overseas, but they are local calls. In my understanding from NCC, which they said it's illegal, and that the security operatives are after the people who set up this mechanism to be able to have this calls terminated by the overseas companies. What is your take on this?
Thank you for that. Most consumer forums that have been organized by these are the questions people raised. Even within Nigeria, you receive some SMS, some messages that send your BVN numbers, send this, send that to them. I think NCC can also unravel and get to know who is this, who are these persons. Doesn't mean you do not register these lines. And more so for the international calls, it's not like normal thing now. People will be in their house, and I don't know how they get to do it, hold it, and as if they are calling from America or London or what have you. So I think it's their responsibility to work on this and ban. If you can do not disturb me, DND, why don't you work on this also and make sure it is effective?
But what we're saying is that could there not be other creative ways that these telcos, with all the massive monies that they have made
for the past 16 years,
you know,
for consumers, we don't think that's an excuse, because we pay for the service. So we think you should go your way, look for a way to better the service we receive.
Creative.
Then
yes.
Perhaps you've been there for past 16 years. What have you been doing? If there's a problem, negotiate with the government, negotiate with local government, state government, and give us a better solution.
The one additional solution that I think is a nutcracker here is that some of those types of infrastructure deficit, the right of way and some of those types of things, what the telcos and obviously the regulators need to do actually is to partner with the consumers themselves. So if there's a fidelity between both and there's no mistrust, then there's an opportunity here to compel the government to the process.
Perhaps they use different people's apartment and what have you. How about that to even have their infrastructure during?
So clearly what I'm hearing everyone saying is that we really do not have excuses for the kind of quality of service that we're getting. That's what I hear. For NCC to come also onto the show and say, look, we are doing this A, B, C, D, but you can do that better. And then for the Consumer Protection Council, we can say to all of them that you have no excuses as long as you have not done A, B, C, D. So we will really love to thank the three of you